James, Spurs were victorious against Liverpool at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday night. Quite the game, a lot of controversy in that game as well. How do you even begin to sum it up?
Wow, where do we start in terms of unpicking this one? Well, I think first of all, 6 years, 11 games, a Champions League final, and two last-minute defeats for Spurs. So it was about time, I think it's fair to say. We got one over on Liverpool. Perhaps a little bit of karma. We lost in the last minute last year after coming from 3-0 down, didn't we? We had the heartbreak in the Champions League final. But yeah, it was just an action-packed game, wasn't it? Full of controversy. And from a Spurs perspective, I don't think all the red cards and the goings on really helped us, to be honest with you. We were actually better with 11v11. There was some really, really brilliant patterns of play, some really, really nice moves. The players were really on it. We had our moments. Liverpool did as well. But it was a real entertaining, almost basketball game before the red cards sort of disrupted everything. And where do we start in terms of the action? I guess I suppose let's go through them in order. So the first red card looks horrendous when you look at it in slow motion. The game's not played in slow motion, obviously. Don't think it helped with the image that the VAR brought up for the referee to review that one. I mean, that was almost like a kangaroo court, wasn't it? When you saw that image of Curtis Jones going over the top on Bissouma, you see the still image. It's a straight red card all day long. In slow motion, in mitigation, he does go in for the ball. He slips almost over the top of the ball. However, could have really seriously, injured Bissouma. So I think that one's on the flip of a coin, very similar to the Nketiah one for Spurs the week before. Where he leapt in on Vicario. It was reckless. It was out of control. He was given a yellow card. You could argue maybe the Curtis Jones was perhaps an orange, but once VAR gets involved, there was only ever going to be one outcome. We then go 1-0 up. Terrific move. Maddison, beautiful pass through to Richarlison. Terrific ball across and a tap in for Son, who, despite only being half fit on the day, still caused Liverpool lots and lots of problems. So everything's looking rosy. Obviously before that we've got the Diaz incident as well, where he goes through and he's given wrongly offside. So I think from a Liverpool fan's perspective, absolutely robbed. I guess in that sense that was just a human error. So they can feel aggrieved at that one. And then Diego Jota, the second red card. The first yellow card was definitely soft. However, I think he should have been booked for a foul previously, actually, when he first came on. And the second one was just absolutely ludicrous, wasn't it? It was just, rush of blood, stupidity really on Jota's part, and there was only ever going to be one outcome. So Liverpool down to 9 men. They still had the moments as well. I think Spurs, we were a little bit naive, I think, when we went down to 9 men. We were trying to do too much individually. I think Postecoglou came out and said that, but we weren't spreading the play wide enough. We were trying to go down that centre, and Liverpool obviously had, 2 banks of 4 essentially as it ended up, and we really, really struggled to break them down. Had our moments, Son drew a brilliant save from Alisson sort of on the volley. Maddison almost curled one with his left foot into the corner. But apart from that, we were starting to run out of ideas, I think it's fair to say. But we plugged on. And Pedro Porro, who was excellent on the day again. I called him out last week on this video for his defending, and he was superb again. Brilliant low cross into the box, and obviously Matip just got a touch on it, smashed it home. I think it might have been Richarlison coming in on the back of it behind Matip. So perhaps had Matip not knocked it in, Richarlison might have got there first anyway. But the rest is history. It sent the crowd into absolute raptures. My living room certainly erupted. And it was another fantastic result for us. And as I say, I've been at Anfield when we've played them under the Pochettino era. Sissoko burst through in the last minute, smashed one over the top, clean through 1-on-1, and then they went up the other end and scored with a Toby Alderweireld own goal. So I certainly know how Liverpool fans feel. We've had it numerous times against them, as I say, including last season. So from our point of view, the juggernaut keeps rolling on. Another fantastic result for us. Probably one of the worst performances as well we've put in. I think it's fair to say, but we'll take the 3 points and it leaves us in a brilliant position, second in the league. And we've come through that Arsenal-Liverpool test, in really, really fine fettle, I think. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant result for us in the end. Things to do in terms of the performance. Yes, we had a little bit of rub of the green, but, these things even themselves out. And we've been on the wrong end of some calls already this season. So, absolutely delighted.
Do you think, looking at that performance when it did go to 9 men, do you think there was any concerns there that Tottenham weren't really able to break them down and it sort of took a moment of fortune to get that winner? Do you think that's something that Postecoglou will address, especially with the international break coming up?
Well, I think it probably lays bare a little bit the squad as well. Maddison was probably 3/4 fit. He had a good game, put through the sort of pre-assist, if you like, for the opening goal. But when Son went off and Richarlison went through the middle, Richarlison sort of faded out of the game, actually. He played pretty well and caused a bit of menace down the left-hand side. But I think it shows we brought Solomon on. He huffed and puffed, but, kept trying to cut inside. We've got Kulusevski obviously cutting inside as well on the right-hand side. So it does show, I think, that we're a little bit short, perhaps, in certain areas in the top end of the pitch. Still, despite the fact we've got, plenty of options, plenty of pace up there. We were missing Brennan Johnson through injury, missing Giovanni the Chelsea as well. So I think important we get those two players out just to give us a little bit of a plan B, because it did go a little bit stale. But as I say, we just sort of played into Liverpool's hands, I think, more than our lack of creativity. We weren't shifting the ball wide enough. We weren't getting the fullbacks overlapping as well, just to create that different type of angle to get the cross in the box. So definitely a few lessons to be learned, I think, from Postecoglou. But, as he keeps saying, and as all Spurs fans are trying to keep grounded a little bit, this is very, very early days. It's, Spurs in its infancy under Postecoglou. So, the signs have been fantastic so far. But, it does probably just put a little asterisk beside it. And, there is still lots and lots of work to do.
And finally, looking ahead to Luton at the weekend coming up, Spurs could, for a couple of hours at least, go top of the league with a win there. Of course, if then Man City and Arsenal don't actually, well, none of them win, you could stay top going into the international break, which would be quite the achievement considering, Postecoglou's been in the job for a matter of months. Does that show just how far the club, even in this short space of time, has come? I know, obviously, in the last question I mentioned a bit of naivety and perhaps a bit of squad issues, but just how far the team and the club as a whole has developed since the end of last season.
Yeah, it's been massive, hasn't it? I mean, it's been just a revolution through the club. As I said before, breath of fresh air from Postecoglou. The football we're playing at times is just absolutely breathtaking. It really is. Players who last year all they could do was pass backwards, and this year, we're playing out from the back. We look confident. We've got lots of pace in the team. We look pretty balanced. We're creating lots of chances. Players are stepping up to the mark. And I think it's just testament and credit to Postecoglou and the coaching staff. I think we're probably ahead of where he thought we might be. And I still think there's going to be bumps in the road. But, if we avoid that phrase of being Spursy at the weekend, having come through Arsenal and Liverpool unscathed, then we go to Luton and beat them, which, greatest to respect, that they're obviously lying 17th in the league. We ought to be going to Kenilworth Road and getting a result on Saturday. We get to go early, so that puts us top of the league. And obviously, if results go our way, then that could leave us, on the top for at least a couple of weeks. It might be the only couple of weeks of the season, but yeah, wouldn't that be a terrific achievement? And, just send out a bit of a message, I think, to the rest of the league that, we're there and we're going to be there and thereabouts. And, I think it's a top 5 finish potentially for Champions League this season. You look at Man United, obviously getting beat at home, Chelsea not pulling up any trees. So I think there's an opportunity there. But as Postecoglou said, he's loath to sort of set targets, I think, at this stage, because, there are, undoubtedly going to be bumps in the road. We're going to slip up. I've said to you before, there'll be a 1-0 smash and grab at home somewhere against, lower ranking opposition. That will happen. I mean, if we'd have struggled and we didn't get over the line against Liverpool, there may have been a few people saying, well, you couldn't even beat Liverpool with 9 men. So fine margins, of course, but, we just keep rolling. It keeps the feel-good factor going. It builds the character, the spirit, among the group as well, these last-minute victories. And, the atmosphere inside the ground, I don't think there's been a better atmosphere, since the ground opened. It really is sort of fanfare stuff after the game. And Postecoglou's just brought that real feel-good factor through the club. So long may that continue. But, Luton, it'll be a tough game, as I say. They went to Everton at the weekend. They got a really good result there. They play midweek, don't they, against Burnley as well. And their crowd will be up for it. So it's not too far off a derby, to be honest. Luton and Tottenham, they're not a million miles away. So there'll be a bit of needle in the game. We've got to be careful as well, I think, with the likes of Yves Bissouma. He's now on 4 yellow cards in 7 games, so there's a suspension looming for him. We definitely don't want to lose him. And it's just a case of whether Postecoglou sort of shuffles the pack a little bit as well. We're nursing Son a little bit at the moment with injury, Maddison as well. Hopefully Brennan Johnson perhaps will be back at the weekend. So I think Postecoglou may well shuffle the deck a little bit on Saturday just to freshen things up. But yeah, we ought to be going to Luton and getting the job done. Let's just hope I don't have egg on my face come Monday morning next week.